So I'd like to reconvene. I'm sorry, do we need a motion to reconvene?
We already have it.
Okay, yep. So I'd like to reconvene the select board meeting for Monday, December 21st. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance, it'd be great. Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of
States
America and to the republic
for
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
and
and
justice
justice for
for
all.
all. All right, thank you. And I do, there are no announcements this evening, but I do understand there is one change to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, just in full disclosure, under Ms. Hersey's item, the emergency housing rehabilitation proposal, the materials in the packet, she's seeking originally a request for authorization for 20,000. We'll be seeking a request actually for 30,000, and Alicia will explain that when we get to that item.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, sir.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Agenda is approved as amended. First up is there anybody on for public input? Okay, doesn't appear so. So we can move on to the first, next agenda item is a presentation from Ms. Hersey on the emergency housing rehabilitation proposal. Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi,
Hello.
sorry, I just had to get myself hooked in there. So, good evening, how's everybody?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. So we have program income, and program income comes from our housing rehabilitation program. I don't know if people need to know this, just a little bit of a background on where our program income comes from. But it comes from our housing rehabilitation. If somebody chooses to sell their property before their lien is satisfied, if they stay in their property for 15 years, their lien is satisfied and they own nothing on it when we renovate a house through our low to moderate income housing rehab program. But for any reason, say somebody passes away or they choose to sell, there is a possibility of them owing some money on that rehabilitation. And so over the years, we end up getting back program income. Some of it goes to the state under certain regulations and some of it goes to the town. And right now we have some money in program income. At times you guys vote to have the Office of Community Development salary covered by the program income. But currently we have about $100,000 in program income, and we have finished our housing rehabilitation FY18 CDBG grant. But we find that oftentimes there is emergency requests for furnaces or roofs or things like that. And right now we're looking at someone that doesn't have a furnace working. And so I thought that I would like you to consider putting $30,000 available to use in the housing rehab program for emergency use, so that as we go through this winter, we can make sure we can keep people safe in their homes. This is all for low to moderate income. And so I have a waiting list for houses to be rehabbed. I always have a waiting list, but they qualify for emergency under a situation that is dire, like you don't have a working furnace or you've got a roof that's leaking or something like that. So is there any questions?
I just for better understanding for me. So for this particular project, this person, the town would pay for a furnace and then they would pay that back?
No,
If,
sorry.
oh no, go ahead.
So I can get you a copy of our guidelines for our housing rehabilitation. This is a program that we've been using in town for about 25 years. And it's a CDBG block grant program that we've designed, that we work through. And we rehab houses for safety issues and lead paint and all those things. If you qualify, and you have to be low to moderate income to qualify, and you have to get on the waiting list. And then they get a 15-year mortgage on their house for the amount that we spent to rehab it. If they stay in their house for 15 years, it's forgiven.
Okay.
Okay, if they don't and they sell it, then a portion of it, and we have a way to prorate it, comes back to the town, and that becomes program income, which we roll into programs for community development.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's that was my own lack of understanding there.
No.
Any questions from the board members?
Just a
No.
quick one. So you had originally in the packet been requesting 20,000, and did you explain why you needed the 30?
Well, it's up to 30. I'm sending, if you approve this, I'm going to send out the furnace that I was hearing about wasn't completely broken until today, and then today it became broken.
Mm,
It's actually a two-family house, so we would get a lien on the property that she would agree to rent the other property, the other unit, to an affordable. So these are some affordable units that we create in town too. And so there could possibly be two furnaces needed to go in there. So I'm saying up to, I have to get, I will send my housing rehabilitation specialist out. He'll give me an estimate. Then I'll go out to bids to five bidders, that sort of thing. So I don't have to spend it all. And if I don't, I'm not expecting to spend it all on this property. I'm expecting to spend some of it, but then we'd also have, I'm looking for approval. If I have another emergency, we can go forward and just take care of it.
I have no issues.
I have no other questions.
Okay. All right. So do we have a motion?
I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen authorize up to $30,000 of the town's housing rehabilitation program income be allocated for the Ayer Housing Rehabilitation Emergency Program.
Second,
Okay. Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
aye.
And the chair says aye, and the motion passes. Great.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, Alicia.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Alicia.
Have a good holiday.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Next up is our superintendent report from Mark Wetzel.
Thank you. So we have, I believe we have 4 items on the agenda. And Dan Van Schalkwyk, the town engineer, will do the first 2 agenda items.
Yeah.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Sean. Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good
Good evening.
evening.
So yeah, the first item is a change order. It's for the School Street Sidewalk Construction Project, which is nearing completion. There's a few minor items we're gonna have to complete in the spring. There's a rain garden, so we'll have to do plantings there and hydro seeding, and 1 handicap ramp that wasn't completed this year. But this is funded through a Complete Streets grant we received from Mass DOT. And in my write-up here, you can see that's for $203,118. And when we bid the project, it came in very well under budget. It came in at $106,220. So we worked with the contractor to make some upgrades to our work. We had some hot mix asphalt sidewalk that we originally bid on, and we changed that to cement concrete throughout the project. And also upgraded all the curbing to granite curb. And we actually installed a little additional sidewalk too, to meet the new sidewalk to the Albert J. Peroni Memorial right at the end of Bly Street, right when you get to Peroni Park. So the change order, we worked on the amount with the contractor over the last few days. And the change order is for $46,016.00. And that brings the total project amount to $152,236. So still well within the grant budget of $203,000. So the requested motion is for the board to, or for the chair to execute change order 1 with D'Ambrosia Inc. for the $46,016.
Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, I don't have any questions either. Do you have a motion for?
I'll make a motion to execute change order 1 with D'Ambrosia Incorporated for the School Street Sidewalk Construction Project in the amount of $46,016. For
Seconded.
signature by the chair.
Okay. Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the change order is passed.
Okay. The second item is a brief update I'd like to give just on our work on new stormwater bylaws for the town, just to keep more
We're losing.
organized what we're doing. So I have a presentation hearing here and get it up.
I have no idea what you just said, Dan. It came out like a really bad sci-fi movie.
I think it's
We might
And I
have-
think he's
Can you
frozen.
hear me?
now you're back.
No, you froze.
I'm back and good now.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Share. Uh-oh.
There we go.
You got my, okay.
Yep.
Presentation's up. All right. All right, hopefully we get through this. Slideshow. So this presentation is about what we're doing to revise our stormwater bylaws. And so just start off with a basic, what is an MS4 permit? We've been over this before, but it's our municipal separate storm sewer permit. It's EPA and Mass DEP regulate our stormwater discharges through this permit. And we've had it since 2003 was the original permit, and the new one was issued and effective in July 1st, 2018. And in that new permit, there's some additional requirements, which is why we're revising our stormwater bylaws. So the MS4 permit has 6 minimum control measures. Those are the big parts of the permit. And control measures 3, 4, and 5 are really what our bylaws are based off of. I think I get into more info on those in a couple slides up. But just a little background on our bylaw. Right now we have 2 bylaws. There's the Ayer NIPD's Phase 2 Stormwater Bylaw. You can kind of see a picture of that down here. Bylaw 47 and bylaw 48, we have another stormwater bylaw. That's our illicit discharge and detection and elimination bylaw. So like I said, in 2003, our first MS4 permit was issued. In 2008, we created the 2 bylaws I mentioned. And then the new permit was issued in 2018. And we're working on revising the bylaws based on that new permit. And in 2020 was the first time we actually adopted regulations to accompany the 2008 bylaw. So we were a little behind on those regulations, but we adopted those because there were some to have them in place is great. And there was also some requirements in our new permit that I wanted to make sure we encompassed in our regulations. So I mentioned the minimum control measures 3, 4, and 5. So minimum control measure 3 really focuses on illicit discharge detection and elimination. So that's basically only stormwater is supposed to go down our drain pipes, nothing else. So anything else is considered illicit. There are some exemptions, but basically that's the gist of it. But it requires us to have legal authority to prohibit illicit discharges, investigate them, and find the sources and eliminate them. So that's what our IDDE bylaw basically allows. And then our NIPD's Phase 2 bylaw we currently have focuses on minimum control measures 4 and 5, which are basically controlling construction site stormwater runoff. And then minimum control measure 5 gives us some regulatory enforcement for post-construction, so stormwater management and new development and redevelopment. So I guess we can move on to the next. So currently, to update the bylaw, we're actually getting some help through the Central Mass Regional Stormwater Coalition. Arcadis Engineering has been hired by them, and Arcadis has reviewed the existing bylaws of every town in the CMR WSC, Central Mass Coalition. And they've identified our current level of compliance with the new MS4 permit, and then they've prepared recommendations for revisions to our bylaw and our regulations. Currently, right now, Arcadis is actually preparing templates for new bylaws and regulations. So we'll be utilizing those to create our new bylaw. And I mean we as in the town, but also right now we have an internal work group that's going to be hashing all the details out for the revised bylaws. And on that group, there's a member of conservation, a member of planning, myself for DPW, a resident and a consultant. So we get kind of a lot of ideas and a lot of perspective on it. And then our current deadlines for the bylaw revision, it has to be done by the end of this fiscal year. So it requires a town meeting vote for the bylaw change. So we'll have to have a warrant article ready by April, maybe slightly earlier than that. I realize town meeting's now in April this coming year. So between now and then, our work group will develop the new bylaw. I'm giving an informational meeting to the select board tonight. And we're also going to provide a public informational meeting once we get further along in the process of developing the bylaw. And town council will have to also review it. And then the work group will also develop the regulations that accompany the bylaw. And that'll be completed by July 1. So some of the things the work group's going to look at, some of the key items, are the structure of the bylaw and the regulations, just kind of the way that we have it set up. Right now, for example, a few years ago, Mark updated the road opening bylaw to make the bylaw more upfront with legal authority, and then reference to like technical documents and other procedures and fees, things like that. That's how we'll want to set up our new bylaws, because then it makes it easier for technical requirement changes, or if you have to change fees, you don't have to go back to town meeting to do that. You can just change your regulation. So we'll also look at if we want to do separate or consolidated bylaws. So right now they're separate. We have 2 bylaws, but a consolidated bylaw might make more sense because most of the upfront jargon is similar. We'll also look at the authorized enforcement agent. So that's what department of the town will be in charge of, enforcing the stormwater bylaws and application forms, taking those in. And then we'll also look at land disturbance thresholds. Right now, for a stormwater permit to be required, the disturbance threshold is almost 1 acre of disturbance, and then a developer is required, or an applicant is required to submit for a stormwater permit. And you can see the chart on the right, and that has a distribution of all the parcels in town. And you can see that it only encompasses less than a quarter of the parcels in town by having that if you're just looking at parcel size, having that 1 acre land disturbance threshold. So that'll be something the group will work on. And then a few other items are enforcement violations, how we'll deal with those. They might stay the same as the last bylaw. It was pretty good there. How we tie into building permit and certificate of occupancy, what roles specific divisions and members of town have in the stormwater permitting process. And we'll also want to streamline with overlapping permits, because the stormwater permit will likely come with certain site plan permits, A&R permits, subdivision, etc. So our next steps, the work group met on December 3rd, and I provided an overview of our current status, much like I did today, but a little more in depth. And I discussed our work group's goals. Well, the work group will work through the key considerations I mentioned, as well as looking close at the bylaws, and we'll develop the revised bylaws using the Arcadis templates. We'll have a public informational meeting, and then bring it to annual town meeting warrant and vote, and then adopt the regulations. So are there any questions?
Dan, just one question. What sort of time frame do you anticipate for a public information meeting?
I think probably sometime in February we'll bid. I'll have our templates probably next month, and the group will meet and start going over it. And by that time, we'll probably have more information as to where we're going and what decisions we're making with the key considerations.
Okay.
Let me try to get out of screen sharing. There we go. Stop share.
All right. Any other questions, Scott or Janice?
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Okay.
None.
All right, thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Have a good holiday.
You too.
You too.
Okay, thanks, Dan. So I have two additional items. One is for the Grove Pond PFAS treatment facility. That's basically complete with the exception of a few minor punch list items. What we did was saved up all the change orders for the plant. So we have a total of 10 items on the change order, and that totals $109,530, which is about 3.4% of the construction contract amount. So just briefly what those items are, and there's one big one that I'll explain, but there was some discrepancies on who owned the under slab concrete pipe encasement. It was holding up the project, so we negotiated a change order to have that done. The next item for the testing, that's generally paid for by the owner. We asked the contractor to include it in his contract, so there was better coordination with invoicing and getting the work done. So it's basically taking it out of this pocket, putting it into this pocket. We had some additional pipe restraint where we tied into the existing piping. We had to add at the filters, the new filters, we had to add an air release valve to protect the piping from getting airbound. The big one, item 5, was what we discovered as the plant was being put into operation was that in some cases when we backwash the water, we have to take additional water off the distribution system. So in order to do that, we had to put in a valve system so that we could isolate the new PFAS filters to take water from the distribution system to put it through the green sand filters. So that was an oversight during the design, which is somewhat expected because this is the first type of plant of this being constructed. So once we got everything in and started looking at operation, we had to add those. So we basically put in 3 motorized valves that have a computer that controls them. We had to put in a chlorine analyzer. The ion exchange filters don't work effectively with a certain amount of chlorine in them. We specified a chlorine analyzer, but it didn't have sufficient capability, so we upgraded to a more sophisticated analyzer. We added some pressure gauges so that we could tell the pressure across the bag filters. The Air Fire Department requested the installation of a smoke heat detection system. Had to add a doorway lintel where we tied into the existing building. When they took the wall down, they discovered the door didn't have an adequate lintel to hold up the masonry. And then I had them eliminate some of the process pipe insulation that I didn't think was necessary. So that was a credit of $10,000. So the total change order is $109,530 for a total contract amount of $3,249,419. I'm requesting that the board vote to execute the change order with Winston Builders Corp. In the amount of $109,530 for signature by the chair.
Okay, any questions?
No questions.
Yep. Ms. Withy, you're on mute, so, but.
You shouldn't have told me that. Where does this money come out of for the change order?
So we have a grant from the Army to pay for the project. So we're working with the Army to make an amendment to the grant for this. So I've been submitting information to them, so they'll authorize the additional funding.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I don't have any.
So I'll make a motion that the select board vote to accept the change order 1 with Winston Builders Corp. for the Grove Pond Water Treatment Plant PFAS Treatment Facility Project in the amount of $109,530, signature by the chair.
I will second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the change order has been approved.
So the next item, at our last meeting, we talked about the out-of-town water and sewer connection policy. So I reviewed it with the town manager, and we made a couple minor changes to the memo. One was that we have them submit the application for the water and sewer extension minimum of 90 days prior to either a special fall town meeting held on the fourth Monday of October or the annual town meeting held on the fourth Monday of April. And then that the application would be reviewed by the town engineer and submitted to a report submitted to the select board and also to the town rate review committee and the planning board for informational and notification purposes. I think that was, Robert, was there anything else in there that we added? Those are the two main things. And then I have basically some wording changes in the water rules and regulations and the sewer rules and regulations, which cover these items.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could just add upon what Mark summarized the changes from the select board at the last meeting, which I appreciate. So just to, again, stress that when these potential projects, as the board knows, comes forward, unfortunately, nothing ever fits into a neat, convenient vacuum, as we all know, in terms of the budget and in terms of town meetings. So we thought originally it was 70 days, I believe. They're going to 90 days, give almost 3 months prior, and put the specific dates. We know that the fall town meeting is the fourth Monday in October every year, and the annual town meeting is now the fourth Monday in April every year. So it sort of would follow, if you will, for publicity purposes, the town's budget calendar. So as far as the deadline for applications, what we're trying to do is give 90 days prior to a town meeting to give the sufficient time for notice and review moving forward.
Okay. Yes, Janice.
So it says here 90 days prior to either the special fall town meeting or the annual town meeting. I think maybe that 90 days should be tweaked just a bit to be 90 days prior to the warrant approval. Because
Okay.
if you go 90 days from the town meeting itself, and we're approving the warrant, what, 2 to 3 weeks prior to, then they lose 3 weeks of time. So I think that that language should be tweaked a little bit.
Okay, so to say to a minimum of 90 days prior to the warrant approval for either of the meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, and that would be on the budget calendar, so we could do that.
Mhm. Yeah, and that way too, no one can say that they didn't realize it, they lost like maybe 3 weeks of time or something.
And Scott, it looks like you had a question also.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Mark, question that came up in the last review was related to the intermunicipal agreements and whether or not we need an intermunicipal agreement if the request comes from a specific developer as opposed to the town. And I know that was a little gray area because the Groton extension, I think, was initiated by the town of Groton, whereas the Harvard request came specifically from a developer. Do you know if we would need to have an intermunicipal agreement, even if it's just a single developer that's requesting?
I think that that really is a decision that we have to make on how we want to do it. I would recommend that we have an intermunicipal agreement with the town, because then that would would limit any kind of other connections to the extension. And then the other town has some input into what's going to happen. So for instance, if we allowed a developer to have an interconnection and he says, well, I'm only going to serve my development and I only have 20 houses, then he might put in a 6-inch pipe. Whereas the town then comes back and says, well, we want to add a hospital and you're going to need a 12-inch pipe. So I think it's better if you are working with the town on the intermunicipal agreement. And then we know that everybody's on the same page with that water or sewer connection. I think also an intermunicipal agreement is between two municipalities. We could have a separate agreement. So if say you were doing one house on the Groton town line, it may be fairly simple just to have an agreement with that one person. But I think you really need to have the towns be involved with an intermunicipal agreement.
Mark, also, this had come up from a resident. And so just for clarification, I know hopefully once our PFAS plants are done, we'll no longer have to experience a water ban. However, if we do enter into any agreements in other towns, are there ways to enforce that water ban if there is one?
Right, so that would be part of the, and we have that in the Groton agreement that they have to comply with our sewer regulations. So we could put that into the in any intermunicipal agreement with water and sewer that they have to comply with our water and sewer regulations.
Okay. Any other questions? Sarah?
So the plan, it says in here that you guys are gonna make this like pretty much the same process as the in-town connections. What does the planning board currently do now to review sewer extensions and water extensions?
So basically, if a new subdivision comes into town, then the planning board submits the application with the plans to the DPW, and we do an analysis and then make a recommendation on a number of things. It's not just water and sewer, but it may be. So what we look at is, does the town have enough capacity to serve that? Does it have enough, do we have enough infrastructure to provide adequate water and wastewater collection? and then make recommendations to the planning board. And then the planning board can stipulate that as part of the approval. There's no formal agreement between the town water and sewer commissioners or the selectmen and the actual developer. It's basically that they have to follow our rules and regulations and put the infrastructure in as we require them to.
Okay. And this is my last question. All right. So what's the public notification on this going to be?
A couple things. So with this process, so once an application is received and is submitted, it's reviewed and there's a written report of that application that will be sent simultaneously to 3 public bodies. It'll go to the select board, it'll go to the town's rate review committee, and it will go to the planning board. Simultaneous. So as far as the initial public process, what I would suggest for each of the groups is that when that report is received or discussed, it would have to appear to comply with the open meeting law, would have to appear as an agenda item on those applications. And then as you move down through the process, the select board would hold a public hearing to receive input from the town. So I think so from the time we have, say I'm just for the sake of discussion, on February 1st, we have a bona fide application that comes to my office. It's been reviewed by the town engineer and has a report. I'm going to send that. First of all, that's a public record. So I will send that to the select board, to the planning board, and to the rate review committee simultaneously. We can also put, as I said at the last meeting, put it on the town's website, find the appropriate page so it would be there. So then the committees, the planning board, I can't speak for the planning board or the rate review committee, may most likely will discuss it. And when they do that, that would be posted. But item 4, within those 90 days before the warrant closes, as Selectman Livingston delineated, the select board would hold a public hearing. And as we do with our public hearings, it'd be part of the select board meeting. It could be a freestanding item, but we would also advertise that as well through the town's Facebook page, the town's web page, in the normal methods we use it. So I do think this is a good step in moving forward in terms of getting all of the information out publicly in advance, including the public forum, will all have happened within 90 days before the warrant closes. So then if it was to advance to town meeting as a warrant article, we will have had all of this input in discussion and public notification prior. And I think just the last piece, as everybody knows, when we do the warrant, the select board is still sending the warrant to every household, physically to every household, but we also post it once it's posted. So there is, if you will, there's always been this, but there's that sort of final notification.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No questions, thanks.
Yeah, so it seems like thank you, Mark, for revising it. And I think it sounds like just that one revision to change it from 90 days prior to town meeting to 90 days prior to the warrant closing. And it looks like we have a very well thought out plan and process. Any other parts of your update, Mark?
That's all I have for now.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Does the board, and it's obviously the purview of the board, does the board want to vote to approve this policy? Or do you want further review and discussion? And I would add, I think as we've all learned, as we start with a new policy such as this, if there are adjustments and so forth that need to be made, the board can always amend or revise the policy. Just in full disclosure, it's not etched in granite, if you will, but I didn't know if the board wanted to review further or consider adopting based on the change Selectman Livingston posted that about the 90 days prior to the warrant approval was the only change.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel. I'm comfortable with voting to adopt it with that change today, if you guys are.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah, I'm fine too.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion for it?
Can I just add that we would revise in the water rules and regulations, water rules and regulations, section 5, application for service, paragraph A, we would change, it says 75 days, we'd change that to 90 days prior to the approval of the town meeting warrant. And then under sewer rules and regulations, item section 2.2, we would make the same change, 70 days, 90 days prior to approval of the town meeting warrant.
Okay, thank you. Okay, does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that the select board approve the water and sewer extension policy with the edits that have been discussed this evening.
Seconded.
Okay, board member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the policy as amended has been approved. Thank you, guys, and thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mark. And a Happy New Year.
We hope it's a Happy New Year, right?
Please say Jumanji at midnight, okay?
Okay, the next item up is our town manager's report.
Good evening, members of the board. Just a few items under the administrative update. You have in your packet all of the town warrants that were reviewed and approved since the board last met on December 1st. In terms of the administrative update since the board last met on December 1st, our primary focus of the administration has been the beginning stages of the budget, which has included a series of meetings of the Capital Planning Committee, which has made its initial formal recommendations, and we'll be getting those transmitted to you in the FinCom, and it'll be on the website as well as far as the recommendations. The initial budget process is also been underway. Additionally, we've been focusing on a lot of the finalization. As the board is aware, the COVID-19 CARES funding at this time is scheduled to expire on December 30th, where we believe, and we're cautiously optimistic, that that will get extended, but as of right now, it hasn't. So as we were authorized up to $710,000 in reimbursable COVID-19 expenses. So the deadline is fast approaching. So we're sort of finalizing as far as all of the reimbursements and the pre-approvals, and any equipment and so forth has to be on site in the possession of the town by December 30th. So we continue to work on that as well. And I just want to highlight, in the holiday season, I think that we can all be very proud of the town and all of the volunteers that have gone the extra mile during this COVID-19 holiday season to really have the town celebrate the holidays. I think the Jeff Thomas and the Parks Commission are to be commended on their very successful snowman design project at Peroni Park. If you haven't had a chance to go down to Peroni Park, you can really check out the creativity and the talent of the town there. That's been a very popular program and a new program due to COVID, and really highlights, if you haven't had a chance to take a walk down the perimeter path, it's been very successful. The Air Police Department is finalizing their Fill a Cruiser event. They've been filling cruisers with toys as the board in the town is aware, that the police department has always had a successful Toys for Tots program. Because of COVID-19, they had to revise that program, which they have with great success. And I know that the support for that has been overwhelming. A special thanks on the holiday lights to Miss Antonellis, who took the lead on that, and a special thanks to some of our local businesses and to all of the people of town meeting that have supported the holiday light program. The Rotary looks great, the town hall and the tree. If you haven't had a chance, the ice sculptures are still holding strong. I don't know how long the weather will hold, but a special thanks to Alan Minoyan and Economic Development for having the ice sculptures come on property here at the town hall. And Saturday was really exciting as Santa made a visit to Ayer and spent quite a bit of time going through all the streets of town. And he even brought snow with him. And I know that many were excited to have Santa visit from the North Pole and spend some time in Ayer. So I want to just highlight all those programs. I thank the select board for all of your support and contributions with that, and to the town. I know that COVID-19 has impacted all of our public events since it started, including through the holidays, and it has been difficult, but I think the spirit in the town is strong, and I think these programs are a testament to that. In terms of the COVID-19 update, we continue to monitor this very closely. As the board is aware, the town right now is categorized as a red community by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health metrics, which means that as the highest risk category. Many communities in our region and across the state, unfortunately, are in that designation or are rapidly approaching that. We did participate in a mandatory webinar with the Department of Public Health once we were designated as a red community. Really, the takeaways there are to continue to stress the best COVID-19 public protocols, mask wearing inside and outside, social distancing, all the things we've been talking about and doing since March. You may have noticed the DPW has put up the electronic signboard at the Rotary, just reminding folks to mask up. We continue to do that outreach. As I mentioned, the CARES funds expire on December 30th. Also, the federal CARES funds for personnel that may have to go out for COVID-19 related expenses or related issues, excuse me, also expires on December 30th. So we're closely monitoring that. What that means is that if an employee has a COVID-19 related illness up until December 30th, there's a federal program to reimburse that. After December 30th, if there's not an extension on that program, the employee would have to either use their sick time or personal time. We haven't had to use much of that, which is a fortunate thing during COVID, but we are just a little concerned that is it going to expire on December 30th, and there's been no formal extension yet. We think there will be, but we'll be prepared to address that. Lastly, we've spent a lot of time, the department heads, myself, Kevin Johnston, benefits payroll, Miss Antonellis, basically on the day-to-day COVID-19 issues. It's all uncharted territory, I think, for everybody as far as return to work guidance, dealing with case-by-case basis. I'm still pleased to report, and I think it's a true testament to our employees and to our town, that during all of this, we have not had a major COVID-19 infection that has impacted the personnel here. That's our main priority, obviously, is public safety and public health of our employees as well. So we will continue to keep you updated. I think the takeaway, again, is to continue to follow the best practices as we move forward. Lastly, we have started the preliminary discussion and preparation for when the COVID-19 vaccine becomes available in a more widespread manner. As the board is aware, it's just beginning to arrive at the states. There is a priority, of course, to first responders and to at-risk individuals in nursing homes and so forth. In hospitals, they've started to do, I know at the Neshoba Hospital, some of the staff have begun to receive it. So we are actively moving forward in terms of any potential policies that are needed. Also looking at any potential costs that may have to be looked at. I think conceptually it's important to get folks inoculated and not have any, within reason, a financial obstacle to that. We don't even know yet fully what that is, and we'll keep you updated. And we're really stressing through the chiefs and through the DPW superintendent. Obviously, when we talk about first line workers, that as far as town employees, every single person is important, but definitely, you know, fire, police, and DPW as we move forward. So we will keep you updated on COVID-19. We stay the course. We're having success staying the course, and we remain optimistic, as I think many do, with the encouraging news with respect to the vaccine and the vaccine deployment, if you will. In terms of, I only have 2 action items this evening. The first item, Mr. Chairman, is a reserve fund transfer request for the unemployment expense account. And if there is an objection through you, I will have Kevin Johnston, the benefits and payroll manager who oversees this account, just give a brief overview, and we'd be looking for your consideration of approval. So through you, Mr. Chair, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Kevin.
Hello. Thank you, Robert. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, in your packets tonight, you have a memo with a brief outline of the current status of the budget in fiscal year 21 and a request for a $7,500 reserve fund transfer. Based on our analysis, and there's not a whole lot of information that we can collect looking forward here. We believe the $7,500 will get us through June of the fiscal year with the expenses that we know are going to occur. The big unknown remains claims that we may receive as an indirect cost associated with COVID-19. For example, if a part-time employee were to lose their employment at their full-time job, as a reimbursable employer with the DUA, we would likely see some liability there as a subsidiary employee. That just remains an unknown as the pandemic continues. So the reason this is unforeseen is we had 2 employee separations near the end of fiscal year 20, which came after the budget and town meeting approving the budget for this year. So they were not known at the time we submitted our budget. So I ask your approval of this $7,500 request for fiscal 21 for the unemployment expense line. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
I don't have any questions, Scott or Janice.
I have none.
No questions.
Um,
I'll make a motion to approve the reserve fund transfer in the amount of $7,500 to account 01913-51740 unemployment compensation as presented.
Seconded.
okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the reserve fund transfer is approved.
Thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Kevin.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, members of the board. Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just skipped over one line in my administrative update, which has to do with the budget. Forgive me. Just real quick. Also, in addition to the development of the budget, we are closely monitoring, as we have been. We basically meet weekly internally, but on a month-to-month basis, monitoring the budget as we move through COVID-19. And as of today, December 21st, again, revenues remain stable. There is no significant deviation in the negative that we're concerned about at this time, but we do monitor this very closely because there is so much fluidity and change and flux out there. We will continue to keep you and the FinCom updated. I also wanted to point out that the BI board has met and is proposing January 27th at 6 p.m. And I'll send this out for the first budget forum. And what I just wanted to mention is we'll be transmitting the initial budget per the budget timeline to the select board and the FinCom by Friday, January 8th. So you'll receive, that's the initial draft budget. And then the plan is to have the first public forum, which would be a joint meeting of the select board and the FinCom on Wednesday, January 27th at 6 p.m. And lastly, Dr. Malone would like to present the school ASRSD budget on Tuesday, February 9th. That's an off week from the select board's normal schedule at 6 p.m. And we'll send all of these dates out. So I just wanted to emphasize those points also under the budget report. Thank you. The last item for the board's consideration Hi, Chief, is the intermunicipal agreement with the town of Westford for the use and storage of the fire engine. As the select board's aware, you previously authorized the disclosure for town council to work on the agreement. You do have the intermunicipal agreement in your packet. I just summarize again, this is engine 2, our old engine, but is still operational. We don't have room for it here in Ayer, but the town of Westford does at their new fire station. And so we would be garaging that there. And per the agreement, the engine would be garaged at Westford. The town of Ayer still owns it and insures it. However, Westford's responsible for any additional insurance as a result of their use. So that's a key point. If Westford is using it to respond and there's an issue per this agreement, Westford would be responsible for that insurance. The agreement is for 25 years unless terminated sooner. This is standard. I learned from town council, this 25-year for a capital asset. I'm not an expert, but I'm not sure engine 2 will make it 25 years. Obviously, engine 2 becomes incapacitated or is really beyond its time. I would defer to Chief Johnston and his counterpart, and we would notify the board. But just to point out, it's a 25-year unless terminated sooner. There's a 90-day termination notice. So either the Ayer Select Board or the Westford Select Board, if they wanted to end the agreement, there's a 90-day notification. And lastly, the personnel operating on the engine is restricted to full-time Ayer or full-time Westford firefighters. That's a key point. There's no third party. It's no call department. It's full-time folks that could use it. And Ayer has priority. If we need it, obviously it's our truck, but in where it's being stored and maintained over there, if Westford needs to use it, they can use it. So that's sort of a synopsis. And as I pointed out, the Westford Select Board at their meeting recently approved the agreement. So we're respectfully recommending and looking for your approval for signature by the board. And Mr. Chair, I do have Chief Johnston here if there are any specific questions from the board about the agreement or the engine. Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Scott or Janice?
I guess a quick question is like, if we needed it, how would we get it? Do they bring it to us?
Yeah, that's a possibility. If they have manpower, I'm sure they would. So when it's a spare engine, so we always have 2 engines and a ladder here all the time. For instance, coming up on December 28th, the new fire truck is going back to the dealer for a punch list, things that are normal. So that morning, we're going to go over, grab the truck, come back, put the old engine in service, take the new one down. So we're not down a fire engine for that particular time frame. It could be, 1 day, 2 days. So, but in a pinch, they certainly, I'm sure, would drive it over if we had to. But, in that day, we'll just drive over and grab it and bring it back.
Okay.
But it's a win-win, if I could summarize like Robert did. It's a win-win where we don't, and Scott might remember this from capital stuff, we don't get a lot for trade-in, like maybe $5,000. And even back, this started when Chief Pedrazi awarded the contract, there was no trade-in money for it. They decided not to, because it was always around $5,000, and it's worth a lot more to us. If you remember, probably 15 months ago, we were down both engines and we borrowed a Groton engine. So this fills in those gaps. And just to finish up, the Westford chief reached out to me. You know, if they puncture a tire and ruin it, they're gonna replace that stuff. He wanted to make sure that all the little stuff that's not in the, agreement would be taken care of. But if we were to blow the engine, we would reach out to the town and see what they want to do and assess it from that point. But we'll use it till we can't use it anymore.
I have no
Thank
other
you.
questions.
Thanks. Somebody want to make a motion on it?
Sure, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that the select board approve the intermunicipal agreement between the towns of Ayer and Westford for use and storage of one fire engine as presented tonight.
I will second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and so the intermunicipal agreement is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr.
Thank you, Chief.
Chairman. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Steve.
And Mr. Chairman, just lastly, to you and members of the board, that completes my report, and I thank you for your time and consideration. And since this is the last official time that the board will meet until January 5th, I do want to wish all of you and your families a Merry Christmas and a happy holidays, and really a happy and healthy new year in 2021. I know that 2020 is one for the record books, I think, for all of our lifetimes, and was a very challenging year. It hasn't even been a full year since the COVID-19 came fully realized, but I just want to thank you all again for your continued support and your support of the town. This is a very special town. We are in excellent shape due to your support and leadership, and I am confident and looking forward to a successful 2021 as we take it one day at a time. So with that, again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you, and thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, so the next item, there's no new business or selectmen questions this evening.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
if I could just, it's really just a statement.
go for it.
I just want to commend the town of Ayer again, and I don't mean just the government portion of the town of Ayer. I mean all of the town of Ayer. 2020 being the longest year of our lives. Yet, despite all the chaos, despite it being really in a lot of ways a very negative year, there have been a lot of bright spots too, that the residents have done also, to right down to in the beginning where we were putting bears in the windows and everyone was driving by to spot the bears. The drive-by graduations that everyone pulled together, the drive-by Santa, the Peroni Park Santas down there, the ice sculptures being come out. And I just want to just kind of end, I guess, the year, an awful year, at a positive note. And just say what a wonderful little town this is, how everyone, despite constantly, you take 3 steps forward and you knocked 4 steps back, that everyone has really managed to be positive throughout. And to the businesses, the poor businesses, they have had to zig and zag like no one could have ever thought. And they really have done everything they could to rise to the occasion and to survive, to rebuild themselves. And I just have to say that that part of 2020 has been wonderful, to see all that, everyone just really stepping up to the plate in a different way than they ever would have before, or maybe even thought they could have. And I just wanted to kind of end this on a high note, because 2020 has been grueling, but this town has really done a great job.
Thank you. I agree.
Well said.
Yes, definitely. All right, so next is approval of the meeting minutes from our December 1st meeting.
I saw no issues.
Neither did I.
Neither did I.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of December 1st, 2020 as presented.
Seconded?
All right. Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and the meeting minutes are approved. With that, we've come to the end of our agenda. Of a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn for the last meeting of 2020.
We'll second.
Okay.
Hey,
Member
Mr.
Livingston,
Chairman,
how do you vote?
What?
before he calls the vote, I just wanted to let you guys know that there's a bunch of stuff for signature on the counter. So if you can come in within the next couple days, there's 3 piles. One is just for Janice, one is just for Sean, and one is a board wide. So everything's tagged where you need to sign, but I just wanted to make you aware of that.
And does the pile already include the stuff from tonight?
Yes, it's all the stuff from tonight. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and that closes out our last meeting of 2020.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas, right.
On to 2020, 21,
21.
2021.
Just do not make us go through 2020 again.
Oh boy. Thank you
Oh.
guys so much.
Have a
Thanks,
good, have a
guys.
good holiday.
Bye.
Good night,
Have a
everyone.
night.